So today I wanted to just have a quick wrap up of how the narrow gauge convention in Tacoma, nearly 2 weeks ago now, how that actually went. And I'll be actually very quick, so there's something more interesting than me to listen to right here. But first of all, so some quick information about it. We printed over 760 badges, so that's for attendees, vendors, layout hosts, clinicians, spouses, and so on. We had about 550 paid attendees there with vendors and about 200 spouses. So it's pretty good attendance, and I thought that was great to see everybody actually here. Some of the highlights, I think the venue was great, all under one roof. There's a lot of stairs. I went up and down those stairs many times, so I'm well familiar with the staircases. But it was a great venue, nice staff. It was a great location, I think. As we mentioned in the preamble today, we had great home layouts, I think 34 of them. Even the most far-flung ones were well attended, and I think the slight shift we had in the schedule worked well for getting people out to those, and so that was great. Russ organized some 60 clinics in 5 different tracks. There's a vast variety of them, so thank you guys. And I think the vendor room had a really good vibe. It was a nice open space with natural light. There was plenty of space to walk around. We had modular layouts in there as well. So I think that whole vendor room was a really nice place just to get together and hang out. It wasn't crowded, you could walk around, but it also had a good vibe there. So, and I think the vendors all had a good business there, so that was great. Contest went well, some great entries. We're going to show you some of those in just a moment. And by the way, at the end of today's whole session, I have a PowerPoint showing all the contest winners. So when we finish tonight's meeting, I will start that playing. It's in a loop and show you, I think, about 50 slides showing all of the prize winners actually in the contest. I've got a couple of pictures in a moment to show you of the really best ones. Hangman Creek, that wonderful ON3 layout, looked absolutely outstanding. It was like the highlight of the show for many people, including all of the hotel staff who came up to actually see it. They thought it was really cool. And that was outside our registration desk. So that was really the anchor of the whole thing. And thank you for Lynn Modinger for a great closing program on the East Broad Top Railway on the Sunday night. So I learned a lot from that. So thank you, Lynn, for coming in and doing that. Wanted to show you the best in show for the contest was Brian Block's Lobster Trap and Bait Shop. And this was a square footer. So this was 12 inches by 12 inches, but quite tall. And I think this image here, which Scott Stoll took these images of all the winners, captures some of the wonderful detail on the shelves in there. I watched some younger kids and their mothers and parents looking at this and trying to look inside and see what we could see. It really captured people's imagination. This was a wonderful model, and that was our best in show here. One of the other things that was of note was the Mount Albert Scale Lumber Award that Jerry awarded went to David Duane for this lovely pile driver in ON30. I think Jerry, you were saying it didn't use much lumber, but it looked really good what they did use. So, but that was actually really lovely model. And one I couldn't resist is our very own Dave Adams won first place for this lovely Durango passenger car in a 1/4 inch to a foot scale. It was made out of styrene, I think, as Jerry pointed out, not lumber, but it's a really lovely model. And finally, one of my favorite was actually Chuck Proudfoot's module for the mud hens in Phoenix of the Palisades. I just thought it was a really nice module. I looked at that for a very long time, and that's a nice shot our photographer got of it. But like I say, these are just some of my favorites. We'll show all of the winners at the end. Actually, Charles putting his hand up there. So we'll show all of the winners at the end, and actually all of the prize winners, first, second, third place. And these same images have gone to the Gazette to Bob Brown. Those will be in the next copy of the Gazette when it comes out. So we've got those actually to him. The modular layouts, I always enjoy those, but Hangman Creek was outstanding. We also had Moose Creek, one of our local Pacific Northwest ones here. That was nice. We had the Northeast represented with the Monson Sheepscot River Railroad, which is great. And like I said, we always mentioned the Mud Hens there as well. So great modular layouts on display. Future conventions we agreed to on the Sunday night were next year in Denver, 2023. 2024 is going to be in Pittsburgh, so opportunity to see the East Broad Top. St. Louis is confirmed for 2025 in St. Louis. And the Twin Cities put in a bid for Minneapolis. They hosted this in, I think, was it 2016, I believe? The Twin Cities put in a bid in Minneapolis, and Mike Enger is leading that effort. So that was great to actually see. That's where the future conventions will actually be. A couple of images I had. The vendor room, I just wanted to show it was nice and open, a lot of activity. There was natural light coming in as well. I really enjoyed being in there. And the bar. The bar was actually a good venue. So those of you there remember the orange shirts were those of us on the committee organizing it, so you could easily find us. They were horrible shirts, but it really worked. People could actually find us. And the bar actually had pretty good food, slightly slow service, but the food was good. And I think we recognized Dale Kreutzer, Bill Busaka, me, and Baron Jan Stupler. And I think our own Jim took the picture. Oh no, there's Russ at the front with the wrong colored shirt on. So the bar was actually a good venue. A lot of thanks to lots of people, the clinicians, the layout hosts, vendors, the modular layout teams, and that Hangman Creek was an enormous effort to hold that up to us from San Luis Obispo. All the contest entrants for dealing with the TSA and getting your stuff to us. The volunteers who were truly volunteers, thank you for all their help. Of course, everybody for coming. I think the Hotel Marana did a great job, very short of staff, like a lot of facilities like this, but in general, everyone was an absolute pleasure to work with and really easy to work with. And my personal thanks to all this 13 or 14 of us locally who actually pulled all this off and did a great show. So that's it for me. I was going to hand it over now to Burr Stewart, because Burr has put together a video. It's about 15, 60 minutes long, I believe, Burr. I'm going to stop sharing Burr, and Burr has a video with narration which will show you a bit more of the details of how the convention went. Over to you, Burr.
Hopefully this will work. Did you miss the National Narrow Gauge Convention in Tacoma, Washington in 2022 over Labor Day weekend? Or did you attend it and just want to relive it? If so, this video is for you. This is Burr Stewart, and join me for a quick overview of all the things that went on, or at least some of the things that went on during the convention. For starters, we were welcomed at the registration desk by Janice and Barry Duplex. Next, we were welcomed by the Hangman Creek modular layout, one of the most spectacular ON3 layouts in the country. I would show you more video of this, but we don't have time. And they were at the exhibition hall selling their videos as well as kits for some of the wonderful features on this diorama.
I'm here for the vendor room. Are you a vendor?
Speaking of the vendor hall, Greg Wright and his volunteers did a great job of keeping people out of the hall until it opened at 6 p.m. on the first day. Hi, Dennis.
Welcome to the contest room. You can display models that you have handcrafted, photographs that you've taken. We have some wonderful models. If you need a form to fill out,
as you can see in here, Dennis Terpstra did a wonderful job of shepherding the entire contest room operation.
The models are going to be judged, and it's possible that you could win a plaque for first, second, or third place. And this is an exciting room. Each of these models is hand built.
I'll show you a couple of photos of the winners in a minute, but check the next issue of the Narrow Gauge and Short Line Gazette for full photographs of all the winners.
Larger ones, the buildings.
This is a beautiful large-scale model.
You have to take notice of this garage. It is just outstanding how this is all put together.
Voters agreed with him, and this was one of the award winners. Dennis and I were both wowed by all of these contest models. I don't have time to show them to you in detail, but you can see the variety and wonderful qualities of these entries. The vendor room, also called the exhibition hall, by me anyway, was a lot of fun too, as well as expensive if you didn't keep track of what you were getting engrossed in. I think I got out of there for under $1,000. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. A lot of wonderful sales of estates and vendors, new vendors, old vendors. And there were 4 modular layouts here as well that were really fun to watch, and I even got to operate on one of them. That was this Moose Creek ON30 layout, quite nice and long setup, a typical Northwest logging line. And just as I was taking this video, along comes a train. How about that? In case you're feeling seasick from watching this video, I've sped most of it up at least 2 times for the rest of the video, so it goes by pretty fast. I don't have time to do much other than rush you around these modular layouts, but they were really good, all 4 of them. Remember, this is twice the speed the actual engine was going. A nice camper scene. Every logging railroad needs a woodpile. A water tank and a sawmill.
Yeah, and about 70 people. Yeah, but everybody just coming off the street and go right in the garage.
And then they break the turn.
Well, Lynn was going in and out of the house.
Very nice.
And we may have to rearrange the...
Well, back on the showroom floor, we have a major tool vendor selling me and other people all kinds of tools we need badly.
I'll be right back there.
PBL, of course, was here in force. And this might be a good time to thank all of the vendors who participated in this year's show. We had both ESU and Tsunami soundtracks, San Juan with their new tank cars, and many other, too numerous to mention, but we appreciate every single one of you. As an HON3 modeler, I thought this was clever to put a coupler on the end of a module. And I thought I'd give you a nice aerial view of this long layout, which is called the Palisades. Actually, it's called the Mud Hens, but never mind. I think this is a famous Alpine turntable inside this roundhouse. Como, right? And look at this. Once again, we lucked out with the train. Again, remember, in real life, the locomotive was going half this speed. Quintessential Colorado narrow gauge mountain railroading. And now we see the modular layout called the Monson Railroad, based on the 2-foot narrow gauge lines in Maine. I was particularly fascinated by their open pit mine and came back to take pictures of it from several angles. Beautiful modeling. Here's an under-track cattle crossing. This particular scene here is very useful to understand the difference between standard gauge tracks that we have here and the narrow gauge over on the left. You can see how much narrower they are, the distance between the rails. This is 2-foot gauge. Well, back in the hotel, we had many presentations called clinics going on, and we just got a few pictures of some of our clinicians giving presentations to the attendees. We thank you all very much for these presentations. Well, if all that wasn't enough, we had over 30 layouts that were open to visitors during the 4 days of the convention. And I can't possibly do justice to all of the work that went into these layouts and how much fun people had visiting them, but I'll just show you a few clips from them. This is Dale Kreutzer's famous RGS layout, which had more than 200 visitors during the 4 days of the convention. And here we have a Heisler plugging away on Russ Segner's SN3 layout. Not to be outdone in the super detail arena, Tyler Whitcomb's N-scale layout was near the convention and was a marvel for everyone who saw it. Just look at those cows. I'm not normally one to be speechless, but in this case all I can say is bravo. This is Pacific Northwest logging railroading at its finest. I can't say the same for my videography, but you just had to be there to see this. Back at Barry Dupler's HON3 layout, he showed us how he did force perspective with small trees in the back and big trees in the front, as well as a removable scenery piece that separates two scenes from his layout.
So I was trying to do that on this part of the layout. I wanted to get the illusion of distance. And so if you look over here, if you take this shot here, you can see how it looks like it's in the distance.
Barry is fundamentally a structure modeler, and the sawmill and the dual gauge portion of his layout, in my opinion, rivals the one by Jim Vail that's currently on display in the Sacramento Model Railroad Museum. On the other side of Lake Washington, on my own HON3 Empire, we have a triple header going on. But what I really want to show you is that in preparation for the convention, Robin Peel, who was the chairman of the convention, also took time to scratch build a model of the Chama oil transfer platform for my interchange between the narrow gauge and the standard gauge. I couldn't talk him into entering it into the model contest, but I just wanted you to see it. It's a really beautiful thing. You can see from this picture that I have 3 of San Juan Car Company's new HON3 Conoco tank cars in service. Beautiful models. What better way to transition to standard gauge than a Rio Grande passenger train, followed by a beautiful refinery model built in the last 6 years by Chuck Lee, who was located near the convention and got visited by a number of people. This HO standard gauge layout has some very nice modeling of the pipeline industry, which Chuck works in. There's a welder on the pipe, and of course here's a type layer. After all the excitement, we ended the convention with an ice cream social and got to meet up with old and new friends.
Murray, who's been helping with the tape.
And then, of course, the final awards and business meeting held on Sunday night. And as you can see, very well attended. Robin Peel emceed the meeting and started off with thanking everyone who was involved in putting the conference together, followed by the executive committee that organized the conference in Seattle, and then presented all of the awards with the help of Dennis Terpstra, who had been the contest room chair. I don't have time to present all the awards here, but I'll just give you the locomotive categories because, after all, model railroading is all about locomotives. And finally, the Best in Show award went to Brian Block for this amazing 1x1 foot diorama. Next was door prizes.
Next one is 175. 711, 175.
Which was very exciting for those who won them, and nerve-wracking for the rest of us. And then there was the announcement of the future conventions. Next year will be Denver, followed by Pittsburgh in 2024, St. Louis in 25, and the Minneapolis area's bid for 26 was accepted by unanimous applause. And finally was the keynote address by Lynn Modiger on the restoration of the East Broadtop.
So essentially, East Broadtop, new beginnings. A group of people got together and basically swallowed the whole enchilada. So we got 30 miles of railroad and 6 steam locomotives.
This is a summary video, so I'll speed this up. This map shows the 30-mile extent of this ambitious project. And finally, Chairman Robin Peel closed the meeting and the entire 4-day conference on the premise that he had nothing more to say.
I don't have too much more to say, other than thank you for being here. It was a long struggle to get this going during the pandemic, and I really appreciate you all guys coming here as that as everybody else. Travel safely. We'll see you in Denver next year.
And he received a very nice round of applause from the crowd.
We'll see you in Denver, and then in Pittsburgh, and then in St. Louis, and then in the Twin Cities. Thank you. Goodbye.
And with that, we all rushed off back to our merry lives. And as Robin said, we'll see you next year in Denver. In the meantime, this is your host, Bert Stewart, wishing you much fun with trains.
Hey, thank you, Burr, and thank you all of the committee who worked so hard on this. And we will see you in Denver next year.
I just wanted to thank Burr for putting that video together. I really appreciate it. And if you want to see all the prize winners, wait till the end of today's meeting and I'll show you all of the prize winners in a presentation. The only thank you I actually forgot, Interaction Hobbies gave us some lovely door prizes, and they were a vendor on this presentation a few weeks ago. Thank you for that. They were really appreciated. Anyway, thanks, Russ. Thanks, Burr.
Thank you, Robin.